Stephen and Ingrid Tyler, and we've owned Evening Song for about 10 years. We got her in March of 2015.
And she's a Selene 48, and we bought her with the second owners. She's originally 2005, and we bought her in 2015.
Yeah.
And she's the light green Selene that a lot of people have never seen, and we get a lot of compliments on it. Actually, anytime we're on at anchor or at different places, people say, "What's that boat? What's the color?" We've really liked it.
Yes.
But I married into sailing. Okay, Steve was a sailor from birth, practically.
I was probably out in a sailboat in the womb, and then probably 8 or 9 months after that, or something like that. My father grew up sailing. He actually developed his love of sailing from his grandfather, and we sailed boats down on the Jersey Shore in a small community called Island Heights. And my great-grandfather actually started going down there in about 1900 and developed an interest in boats, and then eventually an interest in sailing. So my father got his probably strong interest in sailing from him, and my grandfather, his father, had power boats. So I come from sort of both sides of the boating community.
And we never had boats. And I grew up in Puerto Rico, so I grew up with plenty of water on the water, but never was in a friend's sailboat one time, and then I think in a Sunfish. So I literally married into sailing. When I dated you,
yes,
you had a sailboat, and obviously I must have been acceptable because he kept seeing me.
My mother tells the story. She was taken down to Island Heights.
She grew up on a farm.
She grew up on a farm, never been in the boating community or in a sailboat. And my mother thinks he was trying her out to see how she liked sailing, to see whether she'd be an acceptable member of the family. Anyway, she ended up liking it most of the time. Sometimes not, but most of the time she liked it. And they had sailboats from right after he came back from World War II. They had sailboats from then on, and that's what I grew up on, a sailboat.
Our first joint sailboat was a Pearson 33 called Tesoro del Mar. And then we had a Tartan 37 called Serenity. Then we had a Bristol 43-3 that we got in 97.
Yeah, 97.
And that was on Eagle's Wings. And then in 15 we got this one.
Yeah, 15 we got this one. But prior to that, we thinking about trawlers, because the sailboat was getting a little more difficult to manage, and we'd have to do a lot of retrofit to make it easier as we were getting a little older. So we decided to go out and try a trawler out. We went out and chartered out of Bellingham. We chartered a Nordic Tug 42 and took some friends of ours that had lived in Seattle. And we did the San Juans and Victoria and cruised around for a week and
liked it.
Really liked it. And I said, I like being on the water. If I had my druthers, I'd be sailing from place to place. But at some point, you got to realize that it's not when it's easy, it's easy. When it's hard, it gets very hard, and you have to anticipate those times.
Was it 2 years later that we finally went?
Yeah, I think it was
about 2 years. We stayed in the sailboat for a couple more years, and then we started looking, and we had seen a Selene when we were out in Seattle in that area. That's when we first saw Selenes. We were looking at 43s at that point.
And we saw 2 different Selenes out there.
Right.
Toured them. We saw a 47 and a 43, actually.
Right.
And so we said, that's really pretty interesting. And then it met a lot of the requirements that there was a lot of things about the Nordic Tug we liked, but there were some things that we didn't like. And we saw a couple of things on the Selene that really appealed to us. And certainly the access from the pilot house up to the flying bridge was absolutely critical in terms of just safety and whatever.
Ease.
And being able to access your flying bridge when you want. And I go back and forth all the time when I'm underway. So that was, and so we were looking at that. And I had looked at some Nordhavens. I had looked at a Northwest 45. We were just kind of looking at the landscape, and then we started zeroing in on Selenes. And
We saw a couple here. I mean, not here, but around the Chesapeake.
around the bay.
And then we went up and saw one in
Lake
Champlain. And then Steve was following a black one down in Florida.
No, that was a different.
Oh, that was a different boat. I'm sorry, that was a different
Krogan
brand.
Express.
And then he was following, and then we saw this one come up on the market in Jupiter, Florida. And so we flew down.
We were actually skiing in Utah, did a sea trial and made an offer, and
Rest is history.
Rest is history on that.
So we've had it 10 years.
Yeah. Second owners, and the first owners did a great job. They were sailors and they had been around the world. He was a pilot.
Not on this boat. They hadn't been around the world. And a sailboat. And they could, go a certain distance and then fly home and then fly back because they were pilots, and then leave. They kept leaving their sailboat in different places. And it was originally called Airlia.
So a lot of the features
a
lot of the features on the boat they had thought through from a standpoint of long distance cruising and whatever. So,
and we like this minor change. That's a few changes they made in the galley and the pilot house. All changes that we actually liked. We liked the color, the light green, and so we did a sea trial, and that went pretty well. And then we bought the boat, and was it the next year or 2 years later that we went down to the Bahamas? A couple years later, whatever.
Yeah,
we went to the Bahamas, did that trip, and then brought it up. And now we keep it in the Chesapeake, and we basically take it up through New York to Long Island Sound, to Block Island, Newport, the islands, and every third year we take it to Maine. And we just did that this year, and that was great. We had wonderful weather. And it held up beautifully.
Yes, it did.
And because we were sailors, we're used to traveling slowly. So it's not a big deal not to go faster than 7.5 knots. So we've thoroughly enjoyed it. We just had them here. They just came overnight. On this here, we're at the Rendezvous now, and the younger two grandkids that are 8 and 7, 6, 8 and 6, just came and spent the night with us, and they didn't want to leave, so that's a good sign. And then the older two, 18 and 16, have been on it. And
they were on the boat last year, and we took them off to a cove on the other side. Eastern Shore, and we launched the dinghy, and they're out running around in the dinghy, and really we had a great weekend with them. So I wish we could get them on longer cruises, but their lives are busy and all that. So, but it's great to have them on for the short period that you do have. And our daughter, with the two, slept in the over-under bunks, and our daughter had to sleep out in the main saloon last night.
We set that up for her. We make it bigger. And that's still set up for grandkids right now, because I hadn't had time to undo all the little cute blankets and stuff. But we love it.
So it's fun to have. It's great to have family, but we end up taking more other couples on, and we do a lot of our longer-term cruises. We have one couple that likes to go on it, and we're actually almost two couples that go on longer term cruises. So this summer, the one couple helped us take the boat up and did this more formal cruise in Maine. And then another couple flew in from Utah and helped us take the boat south. So people do like to do that. And the first couple, he grew up sailing, very accomplished. He's an engineer, so I call him my chief engineer. If I have problems, he's great to consult with in terms of all that. The second couple, they're more of a land-based couple, a lot of big hikers and things like that. But we asked him to first do this, he took a navigation course, and actually one of the things the cruise company...
Did he take the navigation course before we went on the cruise in the San Juans? Because they were in Seattle.
They went with us on that. And one of the things that cruise company does, which is a pretty good thing, is they designate somebody on the cruise to be the vessel safety officer. And they actually give them a hat.
Navigation safety officer.
Navigation safety officer, NSO. And his job is to question what you're doing. In other words, if you're headed for a rock, why are you headed for that rock? Or if you're going the wrong side of a mark, why are you going that side of the mark? So it's actually, from a charter standpoint and just a safety standpoint, always have a second set of eyes on what you're doing, because I find number of times, you just assume you're going in the right direction. It's not always the case. So it's great to have another set of eyes wherever you're going or whatever you're doing. Well, this is our second rendezvous. We were unable to do the Solomons one, which was the first East Coast one.
I think the timing was wrong.
We had a conflict or whatever. But we knew another Selene owner that actually kept his boat down in Solomons. We wintered the boat down there, and so they had gone to the first one, and they have since sold the boat, and the boat
is the one that's now Roadrunner.
Yeah.
What is it?
McFarland, I think, yeah. And, but so we had interacted with them. We'd also seen a bunch of Selenes over in St. Michael's. There were about 3 or 4 over there. We didn't raft up with them, but we were going around from boat to boat.
We went to their boat.
Yeah, we went over to a boat. And so there wasn't a lot. And now we're getting with, I think, the nice thing about this event is you do meet other Selene owners, and you interact with them. And in fact,
and a lot of them are based in the Chesapeake, so that's nice. We don't live in the Chesapeake. We live up in New Jersey across in Atlantic Highlands, but we drive down to Eastern Shore, and we go down like for about 3.25 hours, right?
Yeah.
And we do that lots of weekends, and sometimes, a bit longer.
So I had experience this summer. We live on the water in Atlantic Highlands, and Atlantic Highlands is just south of New York, so it's a stopping off point before you head down the Jersey coast.
Or before you go into.
And I saw this looked like a 53 coming in around the jetty. I was just sitting in looking out there, and I said, that looks like a Selene. So I put my telescope on it, and I said, that looks like Don McGarry. So, and it turned out, I ended up putting the scope on him, and I forget whether I might have called him on the radio, because I have a VHF at the house, and I called him. I said, Don, you're going to be there for a while? So I went it down. I have a small power boat. I went down and took the power boat out and spent quite a bit with. Don was on the way back from doing a cruise, I think up to Block Island, and so I spent a little time on this boat.
We met him last year here.
We had met him last
year. And he was the one that had a little boy.
And he's one of these guys that digs into every possible system on the boat. He's very talented from, sounds like an engineering, software, everything standpoint. But I had a nice chat with him. So that's the type of thing that you really like to be able to do, is meet people, see people. And I keep my eye out for Selenes coming into Atlantic Highlands. And there are quite a few going north and south that'll end up there. I met Mark at the Selene Rendezvous last year, and I had some interaction with Mark on the website, because he certainly has been a very active participant. If you have questions on any particular system on the boat, he's very apt to know exactly what's going on, what's wrong, what's right, what you should do. So he's been a terrific asset to this organization and the Selene organization overall.
We've certainly enjoyed being Selene owners, and we hope to keep enjoying it for many more years. We do not plan on getting any larger. We're happy with our 48 Selene evening song. So it's been great, and we've just really had fun with lots of friends on board, and entertaining is great on the boat.
And I think it's fun seeing all the other Selene owners. I hope that the interaction between the owners will continue to increase. I think it's very easy down here in the Chesapeake to meet up with people or whatever, and I sort of take a look at some of the other organizations I belong to, and I think there are a lot of opportunities to do more in terms of whether we do a small cruise to different ports or whatever, where you could get a lot more interaction. Because certainly we all have a lot in common in terms of the way we manage the boats, the way we like the boats, and the way we have to constantly spend time maintaining and upgrading the boats. So,
And we're fortunate to be retired. Many are retired, and many are looking to retire. So it's a nice community.
yeah.